Astrology Rose. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Itai and we're so happy to have you.
We are happy to have you and to be had as well. It does go both ways. It's a reciprocal listening, giving, participatory relationship. So thanks everyone for having us and for being had.
To be
it's
had,
a pleasure
what
to be back.
Full on.
Full on. Itai, what's happening with you? How are you?
Well, how am I? You know, it's always such a simple question that brings up so many feelings. Too many feelings. I'm okay, I guess. This week we had Yom Kippur, which is the Jewish fast. Once a year we are required to torture our souls, and that's a quote from the Bible or wherever the ritual comes from. And we need to atone for all of our sins and reflect back and, apologize to everyone that we may or may not have hurt in the past year. And and that's where I'm at. What about you?
Well, yes, as you said, it has been Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur is such an intense, severe Jewish holiday for me every time. So since being a little kid, my mum would constantly scream in the house, I can't function until Yom Kippur is over. I cannot function until it's over. And she just became so anxious about the concept of not eating or drinking for 25 hours, which is what a lot of Jewish people do. It's a really strange time. I remember feeling really attracted to everyone at synagogue when I was a kid, going there during Yom Kippur, and something about the intensity and the severity of everyone fasting and being faint and nauseous and people almost passing out. And at the very end of the holiday, they blow what's known as the shofar, which is a Jewish horn, a ram's horn. Is that what we would say?
Yeah,
and
it
makes this kind of piercing sound into the cosmos. And then they say that the gates of heaven the book of life is sealed for the next year. Something is sealed. Something gets sealed. And it's like all of a sudden, everything's locked away and whatever you've done, it's done. And you don't get a redo. You don't get more chances. So it's really intense. And
so intense.
In addition to it being quite intense, at least in the southern hemisphere, a lot of Jewish people walking to synagogue during the high holy days, they wear sneakers because you're not meant to wear leather. So for some reason, they think it's really cool to wear like sneakers with suits. And so you're kind of in this other universe, this alternative reality where people are not eating and drinking, Jewish people, which is just like unheard of. And it's very serious. And they're walking around in their basketball shoes. Of course, no one plays basketball. And then at the end of this intense moment, after you've been perving on everyone in the synagogue and then blaming yourself for perving on everyone and then, repenting for all of the sins that you know that you've done, then they play a ram's horn because Jewish people know how to do a spectacle. And then your life is sealed for the next year. So you may as well not even put any effort in, for the rest of the year because it's all done and dusted. That's it.
I know. It's a good concept. Like once a year, you get to fast and then you can start again unless you don't make it, unless you're not you're not sealed in the book of life. And then,
oh my God, God forbid. What a horrible thing to say.
Yeah. Well, it's really crazy because in Israel, because it's like Jewish law, then the whole country shuts down for 25 hours. Like literally, like there's nothing is open. But in the week before, you'll buy something at the grocery store and the person will wish you like, may you be sealed in the book of life. Like it's just like everyone just wishing that to each other. And then you're like, that is not normal to wish everyone around you to not die in the next in the next week or two. But
yes,
we do
it's true. It's not normal. Not normal. I must say, I heard so many people say the same exact thing, which I hear every Yom Kippur for people that are in Israel. make sure you ride your bike because all the streets will be dead quiet. You know, that's like a little hot traveler's tip that everyone knows and that no one ever needs to hear again. But yes, I heard that as well. It was such an intense Yom Kippur, I must say. I always feel like I also can't function until it's over. Like I feel like everything's paused for 25 hours and I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. Like I took the day off work because I felt like I didn't want to be, you know, earning money on the day. But then I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. I had all these men coming into the house to pick up a bed and deliver another bed. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm sealed in the book of life for the next year or what my story will tell. I don't know. It's fraught. It's very fraught.
All I can say, first of all, if I'm not sealed for the book of life, then that's very surprising because I feel like I had way worse years before. So like, I don't know. I feel like I should have died already. And if I'm still here, then this year wasn't like my worst in terms of behavior. But if I am not sealed in the book of life, then I just want to say, please keep doing the podcast. Like, don't finish, don't end it. Just maybe on my anniversary of my death and on my birthday, maybe do like an episode for me.
God, I'm not comfortable with this. This is like when you and our Leo friend Lauren talk about singing Robbie Williams' Angels at my funeral. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. Of course, I don't know if I'm not comfortable with not being able to sing with you. I mean, I would be singing in spirit, but it's the fact that straight away, once grief was happening or something traumatic or terrible was happening, both of you would just kick into celebrity singing motion so quickly and would just nail a cover of Robbie Williams' Angels. So yeah, I don't think we should be talking about death. Yom Kippur is over. We are sealed. We are in the new year.
It will be a glorious funeral. That's all I can say. Talking about funerals, it's actually funny because the concept, I think we spoke about it. I'm not sure if we spoke about it on the podcast or not, but the concept of writing eulogies. I just read a tweet that one of my Capricorn people that I follow on Twitter, and she was like, my grandfather died and everyone was so impressed by how quickly I wrote this eulogy that was really long and beautiful. And she was like, if they knew I write eulogies all the time about the people that I love in my head, they wouldn't be surprised. And I was like, I can relate to that. And I think my Virgo moon as well. And then everyone commented, and I think there's some people that just are constantly, I guess you can call it anxiety, but just write eulogies in their head or like prepare the main themes or guidelines.
If you want to send me via Dropbox your preferred eulogy, if you're not signed in the Book of Fate, as well as what you think everyone should be wearing and what Britney album we should be playing, I'm happy to event plan, facilitate, just take the reins. And like we would have a PowerPoint presentation with hot photos of you. Everyone would be crying. Like, you know, it would be a real arena spectacular, as I know that you would want and deserve. But Chamsa. God forbid. We are here. We will be with you. We are sealed in the Book of Fate. We are here to chat about everything for hopefully another year.
Yes.
And Yom Kippur is over, so let's celebrate life. And it's also the new year. Like, how cool is that?
It's true. Talking about Capricorns, I did have an encounter this week with a Capricorn that, you know how it's really nice every now and then to meet someone of the sign that is really a representative of the sign, like a perfect representative. And sometimes it's also fun to meet someone that is like refreshing and different. But I like to me, every proof that astrology is a real science and, I don't know, you want to call it a cult, a religion, an approach to life, whatever it is to you. I love a proof. So at the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., I remembered there used to be a book at my house that is called like Intro to Astrology. Growing up, it was a silver book. It was very distinctive in the way that it looks. Can I say distinctive, or is that not a word?
No, distinct is a word.
Yeah.
So, nailed it.
3 a.m. I had this memory of this book, and I know that my mom threw it away, like it's not in my house anymore. And I was like, I'm going to find this book, and this is the right time to do so. So I started Googling, and I didn't even know the name of the book. I didn't know the author. I was like writing all these things until I got to the book. And there's this website where people put up books. It's specifically for books. It's called the Bookmark. And then people put their books, and then other people can buy them from them. So it's 3 a.m. I registered to the website, and I send this woman a message. This woman that has this book. And I'm like, I'm interested in buying it. That was 3 a.m. 8 a.m. the next day, I get this super detailed message from this woman. And she goes, everything I need to know, where she's located, where I can buy it. And I'm like, I just woke up. I read it, put it back in like unread. I'm going to get to it in a bit. 8:30, I get a phone call. Hi, it's me. You asked about this book. Super, like, let's get down to business.
Yeah.
We start having this conversation. I'm like, what's your star sign, by the way? She's like, I'm a Capricorn. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, you're on top of your shit. Anyway, we made arrangements. I got to her house. She comes down to give me the book. And then she gave me a 15-minute lecture about how I can make money out of astrology. She attached to the book a handwritten note saying, good luck in your new career. And I'm like, throughout the whole process, I'm like, this is a hobby. I'm not going to work in that. Like, I have a job. I want to learn. I want to read. It's like, good luck in your new career. And then she gave me this like 15-minute lecture. And she goes, astrology is not enough. You need to combine it with tarot. You need to combine it with channeling and talking to spirits. I have another book about that if you want to buy that. I didn't mention I bought 2 books. She like extended the deal. She was like, I'll give you another book for 40 shekels. I'm like, I don't need another book, but obviously I bought it. And then she gave me this lecture and she goes, I'm in a Facebook group with lots of women. They're all divorced and sad and desperate. They really need someone. You know how much money you can make in that group. You know how much money these women, they're just looking for someone to tell them that everything is going to be okay. You need to give them the whole deal. She really and then she told me she is also a lawyer, and then she also studied mediating, and she just like, I didn't say one word in those 15 minutes. I was just like, I think I tried to say a few times, it's just a hobby. It's just a hobby.
It's just a hobby. I know. I would say we've not made 1 cent. If anything, we've lost money.
Definitely lost money.
Yes. And for me, it's not a small business if I don't lose money. Like any small side hustle that I've done, it's always been about being very explicitly not for profit. Even if it was intended to be for profit, it always ends up being a very humble not for profit. You got to cook those books sometimes. You actually, you just reminded me of a few other stories that have happened in the last little while, which are very good examples of when people really live up to their natal chart in an intense way. So I also work alongside a Capricorn, and she tries to ignore me most of the day, and I just talk. Fair enough. But I am on a short-term contract, and for me, the most Capricorn thing was when she was looking up venues for my farewell lunch. Like, I didn't want to have a lunch. I wasn't sure what was happening with the future of my employment situation. It was a bit sensitive, but she was like going like, oh yeah, maybe this Turkish restaurant would be nice. That looks nice. And then she's like, oh, we should go get roti. That would be great. And she's just like, totally like switched on with organizing it because she wants to go there, which makes total sense. But I thought it was very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. People really live up to who they are, don't they?
I know, and that's beautiful. So
speaking of,
yes, I'll let you introduce the topic.
I know, because There is a big topic for this week. Now I will first respond to some of the Astrology Roast friends and fans and well-wishers who have sometimes said that we can talk a little bit too much about Leos in general, but also Jennifer Lopez, who is queen of the Leos, if such a thing exists. Now,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I know that Leos, actually the person that made this comment is himself a Leo. So I understand that potentially hearing all these stories and things about other famous Leos can be very triggering and deeply disturbing. It's hard for Leos to know that they're not alone and that there are other Leos in the community that live and work and breathe and hustle like them. But we have to make an exception and talk about Jennifer Lopez again. I can't avoid talking about hustlers. I've been talking about this film to anyone and everyone who will give me the time of day. As I said before, the Capricorn that works and sits next to me at my current job doesn't really listen, but that's okay. She puts her headphones on, I talk. Anyway, Hustlers has been released, I think, in Israel for quite a few weeks now, but it only has hit Australia recently. I saw the very first screening of it, I think in Victoria, potentially in Australia, at the Nova Cinema in Carlton. It was on the same night, it was also the Queer Film Festival. So there were just heaps of queers and gays everywhere. Some were there to see Hustlers, which was a separate film, and then some were there for the Queer Film Festival, which was quite interesting. But I have so much to say about this film. I understand that not everyone's seen it. Not everyone loves Jennifer Lopez. But I really think the themes in this film are something of great relevance to our listeners.
Yes.
Also, there might be a couple of spoiler alerts. So if you're really pedantic about that stuff, maybe just wait until you've seen it and then you can, come and join in on the conversation then. But Itai, firstly, can you tell us who is in this film and why we should care about it?
Yeah, well, I will tell as well to the people that can't be bothered. We will try to make this conversation relevant to you. So we will make sure to not just refer to things in the movie that if you didn't see it, you wouldn't understand. We'll try to give you the most background and also to make it relevant to astrology and to our lives. But basically, this movie, you want to watch it if only for the cast, because there's obviously J-Lo, which is, so much to say. There's Constance Wu. There is Keke Palmer, Lizzo, Cardi B, and I don't know, that's, I think, maybe the biggest spoiler, Julia Stiles.
No, don't say it. Don't say it because firstly, so the people creating this film, they know what's what, so they didn't put her on any of the advertisements.
No.
So there was no mention that maybe, just maybe, Julia Stiles would be in this film. So can you imagine, whilst watching a film, I'm having a great time, having a bit of a lull, munching on some popcorn, and then all of a sudden, without any trigger warning, without anything to prepare me, Julia Stiles is just on the screen. I was very disturbed by that. I felt very shaken up, and it was hard for me to kind of come back to consciousness after that kind of, that
to
bomb.
me, it's the equivalent of, my grandma died in 2008. To me, if my grandma walked physically into the cinema, I would have the same reaction of, complete shock. Why would you, a dead woman of 11 years, will walk into the cinema? That's how I felt.
So you've just compared Julia Stiles to your dead grandmother of 11 years.
Grandma.
I mean, what has Julia Stiles done in 11 years? I mean, it's a good question, isn't it?
I don't know. Well, I feel a bit bad because she's an Aries, Julia Stiles, which doesn't sit well, I think, with
I think
her
it does
persona.
sit well. She's still working. How is she still working? Only an Aries would be able to carve out a niche for themselves as playing a white, affluent, uptight woman. She plays the same character in Save the Last Dance, in 10 Things I Hate About You. And now she plays the exact same character, but a bit older. She's playing an investigative journalist. in
She's
Hustlers.
the real hustler of the movie.
She's the real hustler. And you know what? As an Aries, I reckon she 100% went into months of experiential and detailed research for the role. I reckon she got the brief and was like, I'm playing a journalist, an uptight journalist in Hustlers. Like, I really need to make my mark. This is my Oscar-winning moment. And, she really did commit to the part, I must say. But yes, unfortunately, Julia Stiles is in this film not once, not twice, but thrice. So
throughout. Well, let's give people the storyline. So basically, we are in New York, 2007, and this movie is based on an article, on a real story, and it's based on an article that was written to the New York Magazine by Jessica Pressler, and the article is called "The Hustlers at Scores," and the story is about two strippers. And they basically what they did when the time of the financial crisis happened, and how do you call it? Strip clubs went from being super successful and super busy to empty, and the whole country, the whole of the United States were having this crisis. And basically these strippers started to drug guys and then max their credit cards while they were drugged and not fully conscious. And then the story obviously tells us the story of these two strippers and their bond and their friendship and everything in between. But honestly, I think the first thing about the movie that you notice is the cast that is fully female and of all ethnicities, which is amazing. And then the story, other than the strippers and everything, that the literal story is about the friendship between the characters, which we love a good female friendship movie in this podcast.
Do we ever? And I mean, there's so many broader themes about this film. So you mentioned the financial, social context at the time. In 2007, I mean, it's a bit weird that films are now being set in the past, and the past is 2007. But anyway,
in the near past.
In the near past, the recent past. But there is so much more to this. It is such a female-centric film, and the main kind of goals and aims of the primary characters, Constance Wu and Jennifer Lopez, is to be independent and to not be controlled and to not have to depend on others. And I think, they've each come from different families where they're trying to make ends meet for their families. In Constance Wu's case, it's for her grandmother and her daughter. And then in Jennifer Lopez's case, she's, making ends meet for her daughter, but also they just love the finer things in life as well. They love shopping with their gal pals. And it really shows the entire experience from their perspective. So men are really just side characters in the entire film. There's no male main protagonist. It's an incredibly amazing film. Cardi B is playing, a stripper, and she did used to do that work as well. So it's wonderful. Lizzo is amazing. She plays her flute in the film.
Yes.
It's just a powerhouse, action-packed, incredible film. The soundtrack as well, Britney Spears, Riri, it is a powerful female film about getting shit done, getting money, hustling, sometimes having friendship, sometimes being a bit uptight if you're Julia Stiles. I've been telling everyone I know to see this film because I think it really is reflective of filmmaking in 2019, that we can have a cast of all, women from a range of backgrounds and expertise, talking about their experience, and star signs, talking about their experience at a strip club. And it's a mainstream film, and it talks, about, it's they love their bodies and they are in control. Even when they're not in control, they are in control. And I just felt very inspired. And I just think, 2019, if we're talking about the Book of Fate, this is a really exciting year to be alive. And I just think everyone should go, take your daughters, take your sons, take everyone and just see this film because it is the future.
Yes. So let's break it down. So we have Ramona, which is Jennifer Lopez, and we have Destiny, which is Constance Wu. And most of the movie is about their relationship. There is more characters, of course, but the movie is more from the perspective of Constance, of Destiny. And we see this girl that is working in the strip club to pay her grandmother's debts. And then she comes to this new strip club, and it's really, it's gross, and you can see how men treat her and how they talk about her and to each other about her. And then there's this scene where we're introduced to Jennifer Lopez, and that's
Oh my God.
in the cinema. And again, I think, we talk about Jennifer Lopez so much just because there's something about this woman that, I don't know, like you just want her to know you exist. Like, I feel like if Jennifer Lopez knew I exist, I would die. She comes into the stage and she does this dance, and you can see, like, that's a Leo. Like, that's a Leo character from the get-go. And then she gets all this money and she walks past Destiny and she tells her, "Doesn't money make you horny?" And that's her first line in the whole movie.
Oh my
which
God.
is incredible.
And there is that moment. I think, there are so many Leo moments in this film, and it's hard to remember one, but the moment when Constance Wu, or Destiny, is sitting on the rooftop of the strip club, and Ramona, Jennifer Lopez, is just smoking a cigarette, wearing her hot outfit underneath this huge fur coat. And she looks at Destiny and she goes, "Get under my fur." And she puts her under her fur coat, and they sit there, and it really looks like a lion, nestling and nurturing this little lion cub. And I just felt, as you said, there is something about Jennifer Lopez. It's not just that she's a celebrity. She takes up the space, and the camera loves her. Like, you can't look away, and she's instantly charismatic, even though she's, playing a lot of the same roles that she's played before. But I think she nailed this film. I think it's
She really does. She
career
really does.
best.
And I think also it gives us another perspective of Leos, because of course everyone says, and we as well, that they love the spotlight, they love to shine, which is true, and you can see that. But I think they also love, because they're so nurturing and they are the sun, they also love to, use the spotlight to put it on someone else, as long as they kind of choose where the spotlight is. It's like there's nothing they love more than to look proud at someone they made or they pushed or they, helped them.
They
to
want
get
you
where
under
they are.
their fur.
But then the interesting part is, which sign is Destiny and why? Because Destiny is this little ambitious but not quite as talented as J-Lo or as Cardi B, or, she's trying to be good and she's hustling. Like, she's not a lazy person. But what kind of star sign? She's not like a perfectionist, I can say. She doesn't care to be the best,
She's definitely not a perfectionist because, while she's playing a stripper, she really can't dance. And it's really heartbreaking because it's just like Constance Wu just couldn't dance. Like, she's trying to learn the moves and it's just a bit uncomfortable to watch. I mean, she's so beautiful and so gorgeous and such an amazing character. But when it comes to actually nailing the dancing, I mean, J-Lo's that triple threat. She acts, she dances, she sings. Constance Wu, she's not the triple threat. I'm not sure what star sign she is. Initially, I thought maybe she's a Libra. I know that sounds a bit controversial, but I think that she just, because of her airiness, like, she doesn't know quite who she is in the film, and she really just wants to love and to please. Like, all she wants is the validation of Ramona and J-Lo, and so I thought maybe a Libra, maybe a Virgo, because she is a bit kind of particular about things, but I'm going to stick with Libra, actually.
I think I was going to say Virgo, but now I agree with you because she was also super into, like, the morals, even when they were doing the criminal aspect. She was like, there's a limit. We have to be careful. We have to.
Yes.
We can't be with like druggies or criminals. Like she was really particular about that, which made me think she's a Virgo, but yeah, maybe a Libra as well. I think my take from the film, which I think, and that is a bit of a spoiler. So if you really want to watch it, then pause and come back.
You should have already seen it. Yeah.
Yes. But to me, the whole movie is the perspective of Destiny telling the story. And the whole movie, she speaks at Ramona as if she fucked her over at the end. And you watch the whole movie thinking, oh, where is that big moment where Ramona turns on her? Where's the big moment when you discover that it was all a part of her master plan, that she was going to fuck her over? And then there's a point where you discover that Destiny was like abandoned by her mom, and you realize that a lot of her like motives in life is to kind of get that. That's why she's also befriended Ramona, because she wanted that mother figure and she wanted someone to tell her that she's a good girl. And then at the end, you're sure, like you just wait for that moment where Ramona talks shit about her, and she calls Julia Stiles, which is like having a baby shower for herself. And then, which is like obviously the only thing that this white reporter does is like interviewing strippers and doing like a
can I make a quick
shower.
question though about Julia Stiles? Do you think like Nicole Kidman was busy, or they couldn't afford to hire Nicole Kidman? Like what happened
Nicole
there?
Kidman she has a bit of a darkness to her. I feel like if she played in that movie, it would have been like, you know, the mom in the one in the strip club that is called Mom, which is like the old stripper that takes care of the young strippers. She has that dark energy.
You know, I'm calling it now. I reckon Nicole Kidman is going to play Michael Jackson in a future biopic of his life. I'm calling it now, and I think it's going to happen. It's like when The Simpsons predicted that Donald Trump was going to be president of the United States. I reckon Nicole Kidman will do a career best performance as Michael Jackson.
Well, I think you just started
a show called Michael.
You just started a theory, and the theory is Nicole Kidman is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson never died.
Oh my God. Or did Nicole Kidman never live? Oh my gosh.
She did play in
We
the
know
movie,
too much.
She did play in the movie The Others, in which she and her two children are being haunted by ghosts, and then at the end of the movie they learn that they are the ghosts. And this poor
I thought
family,
you were going to say that the ghosts were Michael Jackson, but no, okay.
They've been harassing this family for the whole movie, and you're like rooting for them, but then they're the fucking ghosts. Anyway, my point was that at the end of the movie, Destiny calls the reporter and she's like, have you talked to Ramona and what did she say about me? And then you see the scene where the reporter goes to speak to Ramona and she has nothing but amazing things to say about Destiny, and she even keeps a little picture of her in her wallet. And you're like, wait, she loves her. Like this whole time she had no ill intentions. She was never going to fuck her over. She never did. She really loves her. She really misses her. And to me, it was like a reminder of how much we shape the story around us to fit what we believe in. Like her experience was, Ramona was in charge the whole time. She made me do this. She never loved me. She just waited to abandon me, just like my mom. And then you realize, oh, she was never in it. She always and then the movie goes like flashbacks from that moment to the moment they met, and you see the movie. You kind of get a chance to see it again, but knowing that Ramona always loved her, and then you're like, oh yeah, this whole movie that I just saw, she was in it for her the whole time. Like she was loving the whole time, and it was her experience.
That's an interesting interpretation, because I definitely saw that they were all flawed characters, but I don't know if that was my take home, but it does fit in with one of the best quotes in the film. Again, spoiler alert. which is said a couple of times by both J-Lo and then Constance Wu. The line is, "Motherhood is a mental illness." And they say it a couple of times as if, you do these crazy things for when you're a mum. And I think that reflects on that motherhood. Oh, Ty. Where'd you go?
What?
Ethan?
I'm here. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you dropped out. Oh, sorry. It's just dropped out.
Can you hear me?
I'm here. I can hear. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know where to begin
So we can just start from the... You just was like... You started your point by saying, oh, and that reminds me of the quote that they both said it many times.
Yeah. And then I'll just say, and the quote is, "Motherhood is a mental illness," which is also one of the central themes of the film, is about, the crazy things that you do when you love a child so deeply. And I guess you're right. Jennifer Lopez treated Constance like a child. I might also say, though, like, it's not a flawless film. So, similar to how much we talk about Jennifer Lopez, I also seem to talk about the film Space Jam a lot. And I had a sense throughout the film that in the same way that Michael Jordan in Space Jam plays Michael Jordan, and he had to act and film the whole film as if he was talking to other actors, but really he was just talking to himself. And they then had to add all the cartoon characters afterwards to create, the wonderful career best film Space Jam. So similarly, Hustlers kind of felt like that, like all of the characters are kind of playing Michael Jordan and just doing their own thing, and then they stitched it all together into one film. So it does feel like Jennifer Lopez is just kind of playing, the same character in Shades of Blue, in Second Act. But the thing is, we love her for that, and I don't think I'd have it any other way. And it also, there's a couple of other amazing quotes as well, like when they say the entire world is a strip club.
Oh, that is
and
a
we're
quote
all
that
hustling.
I would like to dive a little bit deeper into that quote, because I think it's the most confronting thing to hear. Because, so just for everyone to know, at the end of the movie, J-Lo says, this whole country is a strip club. Some are doing the dance and some are paying. Like some are throwing money and some are doing the dance. And I feel like...
Oh my God. And I was like, this is a Shakespeare moment. This is like we are all actors and merely playing on a stage, or whatever the Shakespeare quote is. This is the line of...
Shakespeare? I don't
2019.
know her. I don't know her. I'm sorry. Who the fuck is Shakespeare? I only know J-Lo. So
I don't think they cover Shakespeare in Israel. I don't think it's on the curriculum.
I don't know. She's a has-been, But then you realize, I feel, for me at least, the second I heard this line, I was like, okay, then who am I? Am I throwing the money or am I doing the dance?
Ooh.
And I think it's a good question. And I feel like most of our listeners, as well as me, would probably be the dancers of this world, because I don't think the people that are throwing money... I think we should be the ones that, are in control. But unfortunately...
No, but the dancers are in control as well. That is the film's also premise. They are vulnerable in the sense that when the Wall Street crash happens, they only go into the hustling side of things because they're really struggling to make things work financially. But then there is this whole American storyline of that love of money and affluence and spending and buying, and there's this celebration of money being thrown everywhere. There's this one incredible scene in the strip club. Again, spoiler alert, but I'm going there. When Usher walks into the club, playing himself, Usher, in 2007.
Playing his
which
song.
is only really the time when Usher was still relevant. And it's like this amazing thing. He's wearing sunglasses and he walks inside and all of the strippers are just dancing around him. And it's like an MTV music video that is so... right, but I could go on about this film probably for hours, and I can conjure up the image right now of my Capricorn colleague slowly putting on her headphones and turning around on a swivel chair. So I won't bore the listeners with that. It is a wonderful, wonderful, interesting, enjoyable film. If you have the time or the wherewithal, go see it. Let us know what you think about it. Itai, do you have any final wise thoughts to add about Hustlers the film. I mean, motherhood is a mental illness. We know that. We've talked about that often on this podcast.
Yes.
But, what else do we need to know?
I would like to finish my point about the dancers and the people that throw money.
Yes.
I think that it is a really important question to ask. And yes, the strippers in the movie are definitely in control and strong, and they making money, which is what they want. But I think the question about are you a dancer or are you throwing money is whether like the dance that they do is obviously for someone else, and the way that they dance is obviously to get the money. Like Lizzo is saying at some point, I just want to be on my couch with my boyfriend, what is it, Ben and Jerry's or something. Like, and then I'm like, how much of my day is me doing a dance for someone that is paying me, a dance that I might not love or a dance that I might not want to dance, and how much of my day is me, not, I wouldn't say throwing money as a good place to be at, because that's also disgusting. But how much of my day is the dance that I want to dance, and how much of my day is the dance that I have to dance? And I think it's a good question to ask ourselves.
It is, and I think it's actually a really beautiful question to ask during Yom Kippur as we think about the Book of Fate being sealed. Are you the dancer or are you throwing the money?
Yes, and I would like to end, maybe I should have apologized in advance, but I'm sure that we might have said a few things that weren't the most, I don't know, sensitive or politically correct, and I'm happy to learn. So if there is a point that we made that people felt was, I don't know, not the best, then make sure to let us know. And I know this area is like, there's things you don't know because you haven't been in these shoes. And as Destiny says to Julia Stiles, I don't want to be misrepresented. I don't want everyone to think that strippers are thieves. So I think that I'm ready to be enlightened.
Me too, and definitely in this context, me and Itai, we are both Julia Stiles right now. So I can 100%. Recognize that I am the Julia Stiles in this scenario talking about Hustlers the film, but I just thoroughly encourage everyone to check it out. And certainly if there's anything that we can speak of in a more respectful way, let us know. But I just want to sing its praises. Or if there's other films that are like Hustlers that show people making ends meet and earning lots of money and dancing, let us know, and I would love to promote it.
And if there's any takeaways from or revelations from this episode, is that you and I are Julia Stiles and Nicole Kidman is Michael Jackson.
Yes, and Jennifer Lopez is Michael Jordan in Space Jam. It's just a beautiful, beautiful symmetry. Well, so thank you everyone for
listening, and we will see you next time on Astrology Roast.